Hi, I'm Dr. Frederick Kohun, and I'm a university professor at Robert Morris University. Been here for a long time, and if I had to put my life on the line, I never would have thought that this is where I would have ended up and would be at this location. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, eventually moved to Parma, Ohio when I was about 10 years old. Public school educated, pretty much I felt a little bit out of bounds in the sense that my parents were second generation immigrants. Their parents came in, and so I couldn't tell you how many times I wish my name was something like Kelly or Smith instead of Kohun, and so I would fit in a little bit more. And so when I went to high school, Parma Senior High School, there were 850 of us in that high school class. And I came out of there being 29th in my class, which surprised me because I had no idea what that meant all the way around. And so as part of the rite of life, you apply to colleges not knowing what you want to do. And I did my obligatory application to Harvard, to Princeton, to Wittenberg in Ohio, and the first acceptance I got was to Wittenberg, so I figured that's as good a place to go as any. And then my father said, you might want to apply to Georgetown. I had a friend in the Army that went there, and he would write you a reference letter. So I did that, and I got into Georgetown, so that's where I decided to go. And one after another, I got my rejection from Harvard, and I got my waitlist note from Princeton. But going from Parma, Ohio, which is a typical blue-collar town, to Georgetown in Washington, D.C. was a world different experience where most of my classmates were prep school kind of guys. When I was working through college at a law firm, I had a few bucks in my pocket. I started working for the newspaper after I was able to buy a camera. And so I had some pretty interesting opportunities to meet presidents and congressmen as news events were happening. But the most exciting is that they were filming the movie The Exorcist. And in that process, weird things were happening at the set, and very life-changing for me in a sense that a camera stand came down and crushed the ankle of the still photographer, a guy named Josh Weiner, who was doing photography for the movie company. And so when that happened, the author of The Exorcist and the producer, a guy by the name of William Peter Blatty, said, why don't you ask the photographer on the Hoya, the newspaper, if they want to do the still photography? And that photographer was me. So I got to do the opening shots and all the still photography, the movie marquees, all the boxes on at the time, the VHSs and all that. Those were all my photographs. So I thought I was going to become a photographer, kind of did that for a while. Then I realized that I probably wasn't all that good, but I didn't like getting into people's faces so much. So I decided to flip a coin as to go to photojournalism school or go to graduate school. And unfortunately, the graduate school coin won. And I ended up going into a PhD program when I'm 20 years old at the University of Pittsburgh. It's how I got to Pitt, and started my academic career. And as that progressed, I didn't know anything about economics. I go through a program, got good grades, didn't know anything about economics, and by dumb luck, one of my roommates had a job at Penn State. He quit the job before it started, a week before it started, to take a better paying job. They hired me, and that kind of worked out. And so I'm 20 years old. I'm a couple years older than my students teaching economics. And after a few years, I finally realized I started to learn economics and did very well. And then a good friend introduced me to a man named Doug Madigan, who was at Rob Morris, and they had a economics business information systems department. So he kept hounding me and recruited me. So I left Penn State to come to Robert Morris and started another doctoral program in information science. Taught here, and then after a short period of time, I moved my way into administration, became a department head, an associate dean, a program director, associate provost, and then eventually I realized that's not what I wanted to do and kind of came back just to teaching.